This is the North Shore Community Association's podcast, December 17th, 2020. Hello again. This is Max Cote, the NSCA Development Agent.
And I'm Angela Morency, the NSCA Programs and Communications Coordinator.
We have another great interview this week. We'll present our series of interviews with a community member. Following this interview, we'll have our usual news and community events and services. We have a great interview today of a community member on the NSCA podcast. The objective of these interviews is to showcase community involvement, services to the English-speaking community, and their professions or careers. Angela Morency is a resident of Kegaska and is a stagiaire with the Centre de proximité de justice Côte-Nord. She is presently waiting to be assermented to become a lawyer. Hello, Angela. Happy you could join us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to share with us how you chose this career and where you went to school to become a lawyer, starting from your high school experience, then CEGEP and university.
So for myself, I actually knew that I was going to be a lawyer from a very young age. For me, for high school, being a resident of Kegaska, I actually had to go away for high school as well. So I went to Harrington Harbor as well as Chevry to finish my high school. During that time, that's when I solidified that I was going to be a lawyer, just more or less from the knowledge and the experiences that I read about, because being in a sheltered environment, you don't really have the same experiences as somebody from the outside. So I experienced that through books and decided that I was going to be an activist or a social justice lawyer. So I decided to go to Montreal for college, as well Montreal for my degree in politics.
Where did you go for CEGEP in Montreal?
Vanier College, because they had a Law and Society program. So I went right into it. So I did Vanier Law and Society. And I was about to go to McGill to start law school, but decided that I would do a degree because I found that I was actually a little bit young and maybe a little bit too green. So I went to Concordia University for my degree in politics, and then decided that I was going to go to Ottawa University for their social justice program. So I decided to do common law. As an Anglophone, and also being from the coast, I didn't have the opportunity to go to school in French, so I thought it would be maybe more advantageous for myself to go to a university in English. Being one semester in, having a lot of people contact me, asking me for information legally, I decided that my initial reaction to go to law school was to help the people from the coast. So I knew that I couldn't just do common law. I would have to do civil law so that I could return to Quebec. So knowing that I had a huge struggle in front of me and really not being aware of the struggle that I would have to have now that it's done, I decided to finish my common law, finish civil law, then I returned to Quebec City to do the barreau. So if I had any piece of information for anybody, don't follow in my footsteps. Learn from my mistakes. Or not mistakes, but learning steps.
Okay, so I know there are different types of lawyers working with different types of clienteles. Can you describe me a few fields of work available as a choice?
So when you do law school or do the barreau, you cover everything generally, but of course you could always, we don't really say specialize, but of course it is specialization. So we have family law, we have contract law, we have business law, we have criminal law. There's so many different aspects that you go into, and if you have interest in anything contractual, you could do régie de logement, you could do business. So there's different branches for everything that kind of ties in together as well. So you can specialize, but you can branch out at the same time.
Okay, very interesting. After becoming a lawyer and working for a while, you can specialize or become a judge. Can you tell us briefly how that can be possible?
So in Canada or in Quebec, now that we're in Quebec or whatever, there are some requirements for you to be a judge. So normally you're a lawyer for 10 years before you are looked at being a judge. But just because you reach that 10-year point, you don't have to become a judge. Obviously, that is a lot of pressure. And of course, it's always attractive on television, but you have a lot of responsibilities as well to go along with that. But if that's an aspiration for somebody, that's really interesting to look into as well.
So you sort of apply, and then there's this type of nomination process.
Exactly,
right?
That, exactly. So you have, like I said, you have.
So you show interest first.
Yes.
And then whatever nomination process is done by your peers.
Yes, and I mean, I when I was younger as well, I was super interested in the superior court, right? But I mean, you have so many other things that goes along with that as well, but. Always an aspiration, right?
You can't become notorious right away.
You can try.
You can try. You work for the Centre de proximité de justice. What services do they offer, and do they offer these services in English?
So I love working where I work. I've been really privileged to fall into how I fell into it. So of everything that I've been through, to be at the final stages and to be where I am right now it's the payoff of everything that got me to where I am, because I'm able to work at the Community Justice Center and help community members along the coast that are Anglophones, that are struggling the same struggles that I've struggled from before. And we provide these services obviously in French, but also in English. So if somebody can't communicate with somebody in French, they are more than welcome to call us and we can help them in English. So right there now, because of the pandemic, unfortunately, we offer those services over the telephone, but we try to have more variety as well to promote access to justice, my reason for going to law school, but in doing webinars, in doing radio interviews and other things like that. But number one is just more or less putting it out there that you are capable of doing things and just having to be proactive and search that legal information as the stepping point.
So visibility.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Is being bilingual important, or does it give you any advantage when choosing to become a lawyer?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I would right there now in my own personal experience. I would love to be able to speak bilingually. I can understand it, obviously, read it, write it, blah, 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 but I always have this Anglophone accent. So if you have the ability to go to French school, take French classes, whatnot, and broaden that for yourself, you're doing yourself such a huge justice, because if you want to practice in Quebec, obviously, and serve as much people as you possibly can, that's always a plus.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Maître Angela Morency, for your contribution to our broadcast.
Thank you very much, and thanks again for having me.
I hope you enjoyed Angela Morency's interview about her profession. Now we'll present the community events and services.
The 31st edition of the Sept-iles Festival will be held this year, from the 28th to the 31st of January in Sept-iles, and from February 4th to 7th in port-cartier. All presentations will follow sanitary restrictions. The full list of film to be shown is not yet available at this time, but you may consult the website for details on how to reserve tickets and other information pertaining to how to participate. You may visit cineset.ca for all the information you may need.
Some of our listeners that follow us on Facebook might have noticed that the NSCA Facebook page has been posting virtual holiday postcards. We invite our listeners to consult each postcard to hear our 50-plus members send holiday wishes to the North Shore communities.
The NSCA will be closing for the holidays from Friday, December 18th to Monday, January 4th inclusively. We will be back in 2021 with our batteries recharged to better service our communities.
Okay, that's the end of this week's show. We would like to remind you to stay informed on our Facebook page, as all services and activities are subject to change if unexpected situations arise. If you have comments or suggestions for our biweekly podcast, you may email me at maxcote, m.cote, quebecnorthshore.org. Tune in January, where we will present interview services and community activities on our beautiful North Shore. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and stay safe.
Thanks to our sponsor for this show, the Secrétariat aux relations avec les Québécois d'expression anglaise.